So going flashback, and I hope everyone's doing great today. Say hello, where you're from. We are live on the E360 television network. And those of you who just joined us, we are now going to start live at 5:03 and then have an out at 5:59 on the TV network because the E360 network has grown. E360 television network is growing. We've added more shows. There's a show coming on right after this program. Really excited for Aaron and everything. To see his dream come to life and to be a part of it is so stinking cool. But you brought up an excellent point. So a couple Saturdays ago, I filmed Gratitude Unfiltered at the church. And there were some people talking in the background, the people that do all the sound engineering. And I snapped. And some of you saw it. Some of you saw me lose my cool and start screaming at the people behind the scenes because they were making noise. And you brought up a really good point because there's distractions here. Even though there's not a bunch of people, you brought up the point that this is great practice to help me block out distractions
or get used
when
to
I'm doing Gratitude Unfiltered. Yeah.
Right. It's perfect because there's really no people.
Right.
And
there's a few people.
It's like little bits of noise here and there.
Yeah.
To make it easy for you to accept
I'm learning.
Other people in your
I'm learning. So like when I do Gratitude Unfiltered, I'm in a bubble. Typically when I do it home or I'm at the church, and it's different when there's a crowd, because I can play off the audience and talk, but when it's background noise, for some reason it distracts me. So this is great practice. And so my attitude, I have a better attitude about dealing with noise and distractions. And again, it is excellent practice. So I'm grateful for this opportunity for multiple ways. And again, as I shared at the beginning of this, that this is part of a dream come true for me. Like this is a very important seed that's being planted to make a bigger vision, bigger dream come true. So I'm very grateful for the Element for allowing us to film here, just to have this opportunity. It's so great. Trish, great to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Philip is back. Good to see you, buddy. What time is it where you at, man? Also, really quick, I want to give a shout out to IamConchita.com. You guys use promo code WELCOME10 to save 10% on the new Lash App and Curl. So anyone who likes to wear fake lashes, this allows you to apply fake lashes in 5 seconds or less. So use promo code WELCOME10, save 10% today. And I know a lot of you can't go out and about right now, but if you want to look glamorous around the house or you have a birthday coming up, we're eventually going to be out of this lockdown. And of course, we have global shipping, so check them out. I also want to give a new shout out to NeoTrig Solar, your smart power, $0 out of pocket, quick and easy installation, zero maintenance, and raised home value, of course, and much more. You guys check them out. The website's there, scrolling across the screen for you guys to check out. If you're in the market for solar, check them out. They're fantastic. All right, Jessica, so how you doing today?
I'm good.
Are you? Did you have a good day?
I had a really good day. I had some really good company.
Who?
You.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. We went and walked around and saw some more stuff that you've never seen.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think Minneapolis is such a cool city. One of the cooler downtown urban sprawls I've ever seen. Very unique. Mm-hmm. So I'm enjoying my time here very much. I'm a little nervous about the weather. I would say I would move here, but the weather is terrifying.
You're going to love it. It's like
negative
getting used
40
to.
degrees. It's so cold.
But we just stay inside and keep each other warm with our love and companionship.
So, Philip, thank you for being here watching at 1 a.m. Wow. So there's been a lot going on. Yesterday, we got into some pretty crazy stuff. The feedback, it seemed like you guys really enjoyed the broadcast yesterday, touching on some of the most misunderstood Bible verses in the Bible. We touched on some very controversial stuff. We're going to finish it up today. I think Proverbs 31 is coming up because people always talk about wanting a Proverbs 31 woman. So we're going to dive into that. Do you have anything that is interesting? I haven't been watching the news. Have you?
Right. Well, I just use online media as my news, and I take it for, being real. Everything on Facebook, obviously, is real. And, until it's not.
Oh, okay.
So
was like,
no, it's very like contradictory. Everything is in Minnesota with the mayor is now talking about opening things up to non-essential employees as long as they can follow all the rules of social distancing. However, it keeps showing that we keep reaching new peaks of people,
like more cases of people
dying
having it. You're right.
From the coronavirus. So it's very like, it doesn't really make any sense. So I'm wondering what's real and what's not real and what's really going to happen and what's going to change.
How about you guys? Like where you're at with your government, your local government. And again, we have a global audience. So we in the United States, every state's different. Like every governor here in the United States is handling this a different way. And everything seems to contradict each other. This is why I gave up on the news. I couldn't handle it because the president would say something, then right after him, the doctor would come up and the doctor would say something different that contradicted. Then you got that woman. And of course, then you've got the woman that's with the old man. And then there's all the conspiracy stuff going on.
Right.
It's just like I had to turn it off because here's the thing, in my opinion, about following this, because it's good to know what's going on, of course. I mean, we need to pay attention and obviously go, okay, is it okay to go outside? Can I hug my friends now? Can I shake hands with people? Or am I fist bumping? Or do I have to give a
air hug?
Air hug? Is that an air hug?
That's an air hump. That is not an air hug. You shouldn't do that.
What is that from? What? Oh, did you ever see Can't Buy Me Love?
No.
Did you never see the movie Can't Buy Me Love? Do you guys remember in the Can't Buy Me Love when he plays McDreamy? No, not McDreamy.
McDreamy's Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, I know. But who's the main doctor? The
McDreamy and McSteamy, I think.
Okay, I think McDreamy, the one that was the main character.
Yeah.
So, okay, but he was in a movie called Can't Buy Me Love, and it was an 80s movie. And so he saved all of this money to be able to buy like a lawnmower or something. He was going to buy something, but he ended up seeing this girl at the mall and she was way out of his league. He had such a crush on her. So she went to a party, spilled red wine on this white leather jacket. Who wears white leather?
The 90s?
It was the 80s though.
80s?
So he saw her in the mall like going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So all the money he saved up that he was going to use for something, he paid for her, but he bought her love. And the deal was he was going to pay for this jacket as long as she acted like she liked him so he would be cool his senior year of high school. So anyway, one of the things that
a whole year?
It was like a whole year. I forgot what the arrangement was. Can't Buy Me Love is a good movie. If you saw Can't Buy Me Love, you guys watch it. But anyway, he's trying to be cool, and there's this dance going on for high school. And you remember the high school dance, right? The prom and all that stuff. I don't think it was prom, but it was just like a summer dance. So anyway, he doesn't know how to dance because, he's a nerd. Nerds know how to dance, but in the movie, he's a nerd, and nerds in the 80s don't know how to dance. So it's Saturday morning broadcast, and there's this African Zulu thing, but he didn't know it was African Zulu. So he's watching and he's in the kitchen.
That's how you learn how to dance.
So he's standing in front of a TV like this, and he's going, okay. And then he's doing that dance. So that's where the Zulu dance came from.
Well, that's how I learned how to dance in high school. Is I watched the music videos and then I stand there and dance with it.
Yeah, but so here's the funny part about the dance. Yeah, right. You wore like so I don't even know what the point of all that was, but he didn't understand that actually the dance he was learning was this African Zulu thing at an all-white high school. Maybe. So then he goes and does the dance. But guess what? The dance went over. Like people did the dance with him. So the African Zulu dance or whatever this is, he liked.
Yeah. I don't think that we can do that in public to people though.
I just danced in the lobby of this hotel. You can. We'll try it
once.
I may be more unpredictable than ever today because I am sun drunk. We walked around. We did a total of 15,000 steps and walked 7 miles out in the downtown sun today.
Because we were hungry. We couldn't find any food.
We got lost looking for food. And so we walked an extra 2 miles for food.
We walked around the entire city of Minneapolis. The entire city.
Oh my gosh, I'm sweating. Okay, so anyway, that's enough of the Zulu dancing. So if you haven't seen Can't Buy Me Love, go watch the movie, fast forward to the dance scene, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, let's get into this. The Proverbs 31 woman. Thank you guys, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram TV, E360 Network. Thank you. You guys network. If you have a nonprofit that you love, that you believe in, please plug it. You guys, again, network and take care of each other. This is a community. We're so blessed to have you here, whether you're watching live on the E360 Network or you are listening on the podcast or you're watching the replay. Again, thank you for being here. Network, take care of each other. So Proverbs 31. I know people, men, that go, I want a Proverbs 31 woman. Well, what's a Proverbs 31 woman? Well, here we go. A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets up about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. Dang, I like this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I may make a fake match.com profile. No, a fake one. I'm going to make a fake match.com profile. And on my profile heading, I'm just going to put that. But I'm going to reword it. I'm going to steal it. And this is who I am. And I'm going to pretend that I'm a Proverbs 31 and see how
many we get.
Well, see how many guys find that attractive. I find this amazing. No. Why?
Those poor men.
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's probably.
That's not nice at
all.
No.
Okay.
He's not gonna do that.
I'm gonna catfish men with a Bible verse.
That's awful.
I got catfished. Oh. I got catfished by a Bible verse. Okay. I only think that's funny. Whatever. Okay. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That sounds like the perfect woman to me. You're like that.
I know.
Except for the part.
No, all of it.
All. Okay. All right. We'll debate that later. Just kidding. On this verse, imagine being a young woman growing up in church, trying to figure out the kind of person God wants you to become. Hold on, I'm going to do something really quick. Okay. So on this verse, imagine being a young woman growing up in the church, trying to figure out what kind of person God wants you to become, and being told to read this. Or listening to guys in the singles group talk about how hard it is to find a Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah, I bet it's hard to find a woman who does all of those things, especially being able to afford servants in a vineyard while finding time to make all those linens. This verse has been used to make far too many young women feel bad about themselves and strive to attain something attainable. All right, you know what? I know we're not even done with this part yet, but I'm starting to really feel the feminist quality of the person that wrote this. Everything about that woman sounded amazing to me.
I think it sounds great too.
I know. Whoever this author sucks, by the way, and I'm going to put I'll put the link for this article for you guys in the comments, but I like the sound of a Proverbs 31 woman. Anyway, so here's the problem with trying to be a Proverbs 31 woman. You can't, and you shouldn't want to be. What?
Yeah.
Why? Because trying to mold your personality and life by one proverb of the Bible causes you to miss the whole point of the rest of it. Your value isn't in your works, but in Christ. Okay, that's true. I'm a wife, and I'm pretty much a rise. Again, I'm reading. I'm not really a wife. I mean, yeah. I'm a wife, and I pretty much never arise before the sun. I also have no children to call me blessed. But while I agree that beauty is fleeting, I also agree with the message of the Bible that says my worth is not in the quality of the linens I make, but the commitment to Christ. Okay, I can't argue with that.
It sounds like they're just picking apart things. Like
she sounds like a feminist butthead, is what she sounds like.
You don't have kids, you don't have to take that as like.
Seriously, she sounds like Nancy Pelosi. You could cure cancer, and then Nancy Pelosi would go.
Yeah, you're just picking.
Yeah, it's just whatever. I dismiss number 11 we just read.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
Garbage.
You won't get many. What does that mean, Trish? Oh, Proverbs 31 women. I want to be. Yeah, see, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Okay. John 11:35. The book of John is actually how I got saved. That's what I was reading in jail.
Yeah.
That changed my life.
This is probably going to be a good one then.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think this is probably the verse I read that shook me up, I think. Okay. You would think that the shortest verse of the Bible would be the hardest to misinterpret, but then you would be wrong. This is included on the list thanks to former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee, that is a douche, who in response to the Supreme Court's ruling that the DOMA was unconstitutional, tweeted, "My thoughts on the SCOTUS ruling that determined the same-sex marriage is okay. Jesus wept." Yeah, I agree with the author on this one. As a former pastor, you would imagine that Huckabee would know Jesus was weeping in John, not as a result of a homosexuality or any sin, but because of a profound feeling of compassion. He saw, this is a prime example of what I mean when people misuse and weaponize Bible verses. That is the perfect example of that. He saw and felt the grief of his friend's family who mourned the loss of their brother and wept himself, even though he knew he could and would resurrect him. The point of this short verse is to show the depth of Christ's compassion. It does not exist for pundits to throw it around whenever they disagree with a cultural shift. I mean, in fairness, though, I think Mike Huckabee was probably just trying to come up with a cool hashtag, like Jesus wept.
He was probably just trying to make the news, get his voice heard.
Well,
I mean, what do they say? Like when people start talking garbage about you and good stuff about you, but you're okay with it. Like movie stars and stuff.
Like slander?
No, they say something about any attention is.
Oh, any attention is good attention.
Is that what they say?
Or all press is good press.
Yeah, any press is good press, or something like that.
I think Donald Trump has mastered that.
He is really entertaining.
He and dating apps. He is entertaining. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your politics are. Donald Trump is at least entertaining.
Even the Trump lovers are not loving him right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they want to work and make money, and he's not making it happen right now.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. Mm-hmm. What happens if everyone goes back to work, mm-hmm. and then it's all good again, and then a cold front hits and the virus comes back? Now aren't they saying the virus is starting to spike? The few things I've seen, globally, they're mm-hmm. really, really worried, especially in Africa. Africa, they're terrified of this famine. But here's the problem. Who in the bleep trusts the HWO or the CDC? They're the most corrupt organization. They're run by China.
Oh.
China has
mm-hmm.
placed, and China now is what's funding it because the United States pulled out funding. I don't trust anything those guys say. Mm-hmm. But that's the problem with watching the news and following in this stuff. How in the heck do you even know? None of it makes sense. Mm-mm. So that I think, I want to make this point. You can't put your faith in man here. You can't look for other people to pull you out of whatever situation you're in. I think this is the time to get really personal with God and really develop your relationship with God and put your trust and faith in him about this, because you can't do it in the news. There's nothing on Twitter. Like, I love Twitter, but I can't. Like, everything there is even disinformation.
Well, and it changes.
Like, all the woke people, even the woke people are giving different information. So how woke are you if you're even like there's like subcategories of woke now?
Well, I think the whole thing that's throwing everyone off, even the woke people, is the timing. The timing of everything when it's supposed to happen isn't happening. So then other things are happening in between is what I think. So I think those things that haven't happened yet will end up happening when it's unexpected. That's just
I know this. I've been following this and for a long time. I was way off. Like, everything I believed was completely wrong.
I don't think I think that you just have to be patient.
Well, my timing was off.
Yeah.
But whatever. Let's see. That's what we are re-arguing here right now. Quarantine ends at May 4th.
No, I won't though.
And see, I know people. I don't think it's ending in May either.
It's not going to, but they can't tell us it's going to end next year, because then we will riot and torch everything, and they can't have that happen. So they're doing like 2-week increments.
Yeah.
To like give us hope, and then like keep moving it away. Mm-hmm.
I could go down a wormhole with that, but I'm going to stop. Okay, Psalms 37:4. People love Psalms. It's a happy book of the Bible. Okay. Psalms. It's beautiful. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. How many of you have taken that verse and ran with it? Because that seems pretty straightforward, right? Because that's what you say. When you say it to make people feel better. Oh, God's going to give you the desires of your heart. And that's what maybe installs hope in you and gets you through to the next day, or it helps you get through when you're facing a hard obstacle and you feel like you failed. And then you read this verse, take delight in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart. Well, it sounds pretty comforting to me. And when I read that, it's like a warm, soft blanket. Yeah. How does it make you feel?
Great.
I've been guilty of doing the same thing many religious people do when they read this verse, seeing only the second part and not the first. There's a lot of this in the Bible, by the way. What I mean by that is I would look at this verse and see only, he will give you the desires of your heart. Here's the thing that many people miss. If you follow the first part of the verse and take delight in the Lord, those desires of your heart are going to change what God desires for you. Those desires of your heart are going to change what God desires for you. But most people don't think that way. They go to this verse when they're already desiring something they badly want. Give me that Porsche. They think that if they just take the minimum required delight in the Lord and wait a bit, then bam, like God's like a genie. No?
No.
I didn't think so. What they desire is delivered to them. That's not what this means, though. What this verse is saying is that the more you delight yourself in the Lord, the more your heart reflects his. True. Which means maybe that job or husband or fat book contract might not be given to you, but something the Lord desires for you will. So, is there more to this? No. I actually agree with what she's saying here. Because I can tell you the desires of my heart 5 years ago were not the most pure things in the world. It was pretty nasty. I mean, desires of my heart were really pure cocaine and sex. I mean, that's what I sought. I didn't care about anything else. You know what? I got it. I was able to get it. But you know what? I also wrecked my life. Mm-hmm. But I noticed, though, as I got closer to God and the more, committed I was to my relationship with God and learning about God and getting closer to Jesus and really starting to follow, the kingdom principles and doing everything possible to stay obedient, I noticed that my heart changed because I started to shift. I started to not want those things that were bad for me. And admittedly, I still have moments where I struggle and I start to kind of hear that voice or start to get those cravings where it's like, oh, I can while out one night and have some fun. I can do some drugs and have some fun and be fine. I wrestle with that sometimes, but more and more it's shifting. And the thing is, and this is not a secret to you because I've been honest with you from the very first conversation we ever had, this is who I am. This is my past. This is how the devil attacks me. And the thing about it is the devil can only attack you. I mean, you can give the devil new ammo, but the devil's always going to attack you with your past. So this is something that I have to, and I don't know if and when it ends, but I do know that little by little, I'm starting to get stronger because I don't know those of you that have struggled with addiction or anything like that, or struggled with drug abuse, but those cravings or that voice that says, hey, this will be fun. And when you get the vision or you start to see your mind play out the fun that you had when you were partying and having crazy sex and doing all this fun stuff. Well, you never remember the bad stuff, but yesterday was a prime example. I think it was after the show. I was I was talking to her and I got a vision, but it was a vision of what the reality of my drug use was. And I was like, this is a good thing. I got to see the horrifying end of it. And my friend Misty Lane has this method called COPE, I think. And it's basically when you get triggered or you get that desire or that thought to go do drugs or use or whatever your vice was, is to sit in it and play it through in your head. So go through the fun and excitement of using, and if it's sex and drugs, go through that process too. But then remember when you keep using and you go into day 2 and then you go into day 3 and then you go into day 4 and then all of a sudden it's oh, now my teeth have fallen out and I'm shaking and I've bitten my cheeks and my tongue is so swollen that I can't talk and I can't sleep and I can't all of this stuff. And it's personally, I think it's really, really effective, but it's also extremely dangerous because if you get caught in that thought of something good,
if you don't get to the bad,
you have to get yourself to the bad. That's the part of it that is tricky, but it's a good practice. People don't want to remember
bad things.
No.
It's easier to remember good things than bury the bad things.
No, and how many of you have gone back to an ex that was bad?
Everyone's done that.
And and how often is going back to an ex work? Never. All right, let's go on. Isaiah 53, 2-3. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that he should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. There is almost no chance that Jesus looked anything like the handsome, striking actor Jim, who portrayed him in 2004, The Passion of the Christ. First of all, Jesus wasn't white. Newsflash, he wasn't white. And I got a question. Before I get too far into this, remembering the bad of it exactly. Hold on really quick. We say the voice that it's the monkey talking to your ear. Yeah, exactly. But the I'm curious, how different would race relations be if the truth of what Jesus looked like was revealed at the beginning?
Well, do you think people would listen to it? Like the people that would have the problem with the race, do you think they would follow it?
Well, back then,
yeah.
There was actually some, I forgot, man, I wish I could find this article, but it was around the 1700s in Europe. It was a kind of a marketing thing. They wanted people, and because of the verses in the Bible about slavery, that was used, and some leaders decided, oh, we're going to depict Jesus as a white guy and use this as propaganda against African Americans and other people that became slaves. It's kind of a trip.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm curious about this. I'd like to ask Jesus this one day. How different would it be if people actually knew that you were Middle Eastern, or you know what I mean? Like you weren't white, in other words. Like whatever color that is, whether it's olive or he's not a white dude. So anyway, let me finish this. First of all, Jesus wasn't white. He was a Mediterranean Jew who likely had dark skin, hair, and more pronounced, less chiseled facial features. Many people forget this mainly because when we think of Jesus's face, we either see a picture, the person of interest actor or painting or work of art we saw hanging in a museum or in Vacation Bible School or Bible Sunday school. You know, the pictures, the little children's book of what Jesus looked like, the pictures they hang at the Catholic Church or any church. We don't know what he looked like, but we do know, thanks to this verse, that there was nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. That there was nothing in his appearance that we should desire him.
That would make us like
lusting after Jesus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that
weird?
Wouldn't that be weird if somebody goes, like they were just genuinely, never mind, I'm not going there. Like Jesus is like the People's Magazine sexiest man alive back in.
Oh my gosh, this is making me uncomfortable.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a visual person.
Jesus is on the cover of People Magazine, like Brad Pitt. Maybe when Jesus comes back, he can stop by for a photo shoot with People Magazine.
There you go, him and Tupac. Right?
Jesus and Tupac were on the cover of People.
Like back to back?
Some people would say Biggie and Jesus.
Well, throw him in too.
Okay, so which means he was not as which means he was not as gorgeous as art has made him out to be. He was probably very plain and average. I know that is probably factually true. Mm-hmm. I just want to picture Jesus as a strikingly handsome man in just a bad mamma jamma. It's okay.
It's fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter what he looks like anyways. So.
No, I care more about his spirit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. John 2:13-16. Wait. He was more like the average Joe of his day, just my opinion. Yeah, that's what they're saying here too, Carla. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here, by the way. That's why I don't have pictures of Yeshua in my house. Yeah. I don't even believe in wearing crosses. I think a cross is sacrilegious.
Why?
I think it's almost blasphemous.
Why?
Well, I mean, I understand that Jesus died on our cross, but it's a symbol to me. It's like saying that's his death. And I just, there's something in the way that, look, I'm just going to say it, and I don't care if you're offended or not. I think the Catholic Church is basically, they have a lot to do with the Antichrist. I think the Catholic Church is evil. I'm not saying Catholics are evil. I'm saying the Catholic Church is evil, period. And I'll fight with you about this all day long. But everything about the Catholic Church to me is blasphemous. So with them and their crosses and all that stuff, to me, it sickens me. I won't wear a cross ever. And I love Jesus. Sue me.
How do you really feel?
Oh, I feel way worse, but we don't have time. I actually did a whole show on what I feel about the Catholic Church.
I could see that you could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I got a lot of ammo against him too. Okay, where are we at? John 2:13-16. A cross with his body is sacrilegious to me. Yeah, I can. Yeah, Philip, if I offended you, I'm not saying you're evil, but the Catholic Church is. When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at a table exchanging money. So he made a whip out of cords and drove. All from the temple courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. To those who sold doves, he said, "Get out of here. Stop turning my Father's house into a market."
Ooh.
Jesus made a whip.
Yeah. That's
righteous anger, by the way. When you were saying righteous anger is bad, this is an example of righteous anger.
Okay.
Because, yeah. So someone on Twitter said this. Someone on Twitter said this about the above verse. When asked, what would Jesus do? Just remember that chasing people with a whip is something in the is something in the realm of possibilities.
So when they ask you that, that's what you can say.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he chased you with the whip.
That's true. Now I cannot wait to see somebody with the WWJD bracelet. Do people wear those anymore?
I think so.
Anyway, we often forget this side of Jesus and fail to understand what the verse above means. Jesus got angry, really angry, and kind of violent. This contradicts the picture of Jesus most of us have of a serene, gentle man holding a teeny lamb. Jesus did that too, but he also screamed at people for abusing the church. He would scream at the Catholic Church. Jesus would kick the Pope's ass. I said it. What we need to understand from this verse, but we often overlook, is that his Father's house is not a market. Now, what that means is certainly up for debate, but I think it's fair to say Jesus is angered by the use of the church for profit. I have to take back the mean things I said about the woman that wrote this article. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But that's basically what you do. Like, you do all of your work for like the goodness of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever comes from it, like whatever's given to you from God.
Yeah.
But you don't do it for the profit, which is what they were doing that.
Well, and I think the way that the church talks about tithing is wrong. They've weaponized the crap out of that too. I've seen people pull Bible verses that make zero sense and try to use that to tell people they need to give money to the church. And look, you guys know where I stand, that you watch the program. Like, tithing is about showing that you're a good steward of you're a good manager of the blessings that God gives you. That's showing God that you can manage the money you are blessed with. And yes, you will multiply what you give. And you, again, you should sow where you want to go. You should sow or tithe into ministries, nonprofits, people, organizations that align with your vision for what you want to help create in the world. That's where you should sow. Or if people are feeding you spiritually, you sow back into them. That's how you do it. But beating people over the head and making them feel bad for not tithing, that's crap to me. Now, it is biblical. It is a kingdom principle to give, but it's not the way people use it. Let's see here. What you're feeling about the Catholic Church, many of us think the same. Thank you, Carla. What to think about the Catholic Church? They believe to Jesus, and for me, that's what matters most. Right, but then calling anyone Holy Father, that's Jesus, that's God, not the Pope, not some old man that allows pedophiles to run rampant and move them and put them in different places. They should all be executed. I cannot wait till Jesus completely wrecks the Catholic Church for what they've done to people. I'm sorry, I almost want to do a whole other show because now I'm pissed off. I don't like what they've done.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church has done more to divide people and separate people from the truth of Jesus than any organization on the planet. The Catholic Church, they created the Muslim religion. They were part of it. Mormon created it. The Catholic Church has created multiple religions. Why is that? It's to distract us and divide us from the truth. How many times has the Catholic Church changed doctrine to fit whatever it is that they wanted to do at this time? And now they're talking about a new world order? Really? Come on. They're freaking evil. Sorry. Not only, I know, Julie, you're right. No, we're not all Christians. I don't believe it works that way. You cannot, I don't believe that you, look, and again, I know your heart, bro, and I'm not saying you're not a Christian. I'm saying that. But you cannot put anyone above God and be a Christian. You can't. You can't. God comes first. Jesus comes first. Like, that's it. There is no going to a man, a nun, anyone else about your sins. You go directly to God. You don't call another man Holy Father. You don't call anyone Holy Father that sins. And guess what? We're human. We sin. And I probably, even if I committed blasphemy on accident just now, God will forgive me for it.
Yes.
I get fired up about this subject. Churches demand payments. Do you know that mega churches, man, dadgummit, I'm going to keep going, I think. I just really want to say this.
Just say it.
That churches, this bothers me. And look, I'm not speaking out against the church because I already shared, I believe you sow where you want to grow. You sow into ministries that you believe in, people that are feeding you spiritually. That's who you give money to. God will bless that. That's good. That will produce good fruit, good harvest. But these churches, they have these mega donors, right? Or they notice and they watch who's tithing. They track you. It's like you're going to Vegas. You think I'm kidding? It's like you're going to Vegas and they see one of the sharks, one of the whales, one of the big donors kind of go away. Do you know what they do? They send the crew after him, and it's like, hey, we're going to take you to dinner. You go them out, buy them wine, whatever, buy them a nice dinner, and you basically recruit them to give more money. That happens.
It's like the mob.
It is kind of, well, it's like.
They like wine and dine.
Well, yeah. It's like a recruiting trip.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's kind of like Vegas for Jesus.
Yeah.
Pulling the slot machine for Jesus, baby. You weren't supposed to ask a man for forgiveness of sin. That's right. Dadgummit. Exactly. Organized religion. Okay, 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation is overtaking you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out. He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. Have you ever been what?
It's so that you can learn how to make the good choice to move up to the next step. Right?
Right, and we can get out of like anything we're faced with. God gives us an out. It's not like we're going to be forced to sin. Right. We have a choice. Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you ever been in the midst of something horrible, like a breakup or job loss, or someone has said to you, God doesn't give us more than we can handle? I say it all the time.
Everyone says that.
Everyone says that. Turns out that it is found nowhere in the Bible.
You just said that it was true, right?
No, I'm saying I say that all the time. God doesn't give us any, and I believe that that's perceived good or bad. That's
what we just talked about, though, that there's always an out.
Right, but it's saying, turns out that is nowhere in the Bible that it says that. What is found is the verse above, which promises that God, in his faithfulness, will not tempt us more than we can bear. Of course, being tempted with sin and feeling the weight of grief or depression are two totally different things. But over time, the two have gotten confused, leading people to mistakenly assume that God will not put on us more than we think or feel we can bear. All it takes is reading the book of Job or sitting with a friend who just lost a spouse or loved one to see that this is simply not true. This does not mean God is cruel or that he abandons us. It just means that life is hard, and while he will be by our side when we experience hardships, becoming a Christian does not free us from the great pain. My mom said that when we lost my leg. Oh, wow. Well, evidently it was bunk. And I've said it to a bunch of people too. Truth be told, church is a business. Blasphemy. It is a business. Even the way they stand on stage, like everything it's production. And mind you, it's got to be visually. If you're watching it, you want it to be visually appealing. That's why. Hey, we have people back here. What's up? You guys are on TV, by the way, just letting you know. Cool? Yeah. You want to come say hi? Yeah. You guys are on TV. Mm-hmm. So, you want to say hi to everybody? So, wait. Let me put it this way to you. If Jesus came back for one day, he would approve for Christians to be divided like this? No, he wouldn't. That's the point. That's the whole point. Because when you're worried about the personal relationship you have with Jesus, then you're too busy to worry about what other people are doing. You don't care what other people are doing. You're not judging. You're not in like criticizing people and all of that crap. Because it's your own personal relationship. And if you're focused on your own personal relationship with Jesus, then guess what? I mean, that's what it is. Now, you are the body of Christ, and you'll be led to be a contributor to the body of Christ or to the world. But you're not going to be up in people's business judging people because you know what? They may be at a different place with their relationship with Jesus. That's the point. I'm glad that you said that, Philip. Thank you. You said that. My mom said, oh, wait. The trials we go through are to cause us to trust him more. Yes, exactly. That is where most of the growth takes place. Carla, that is beautiful, beautiful wisdom. Proverbs 13:24. This is a really good one. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. One of the most dangerous books out there today was written by a Christian pastor. It's called To Train Up a Child. I wonder if any of you guys read that? It's been cited in numerous child abuse cases as a catalyst for often fatal abuse. In the book, Michael and Debbie Pearl give instructions for how to use a 1/4-inch thick length of plumbing pipe to hit misbehaving children. Not cool. This is what they call the rod of reproof. That makes me very uncomfortable. The inspiration for this rod came from the proverb similar to above 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth the mother to shame. If parents want to take literal instructions from the Bible on how they should discipline their children, they should drive themselves straight to jail. Among the many things parents in the Bible did or were instructed to do were stone disobedient sons to death, bash infants. I know you're sensitive to this. Bash infants against rocks, sacrifice their sons to God, offer their daughters up for gang rape, or offer their daughters up as rewards. Are you freaking kidding me? The moral of the story, the Bible is not something you can read and pick and choose what you want to take literally. That's not the purpose of the Bible. Amen. I agree with that. Almost all psychologists agree that spanking and physical punishment harms children, and a reading of the Bible as a whole shows that the last thing Christ would want is harm to fall on any child. Let me tell you something. And this fires me up too. I don't believe in spanking at all. I was beat. I was choked and intimidated and bullied. F that. That's not love. There's nothing about that. I was beat with a belt, board. And some people, well, that's normal, but there's an excessive amount, A, and then B, I'm sorry, throwing your son up against the wall and choking him. That's not good. There's nothing good. Because here's the thing. Eventually what happened, I got used to it.
And then
I got used to it. And you factor in that kind of abuse, and then you talk about a split personality with abuse, you can really, really screw up a child. I'm sorry, but there's a better way to discipline a child. Should they fear you as in the way you fear God? Yeah, I do. But fear means respect, not, oh my God, he's going to beat me or stab me in the eye. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
You did timeouts. You don't believe in timeouts, do you?
But I don't judge anybody else I just, from my knowledge of child development, that's just not.
Yeah, I agree.
Follow.
Julie always drops knowledge. I appreciate that.
I know, exactly, I saw that.
Philip.
He scared him away. I think intentionally, possibly.
Yeah, I did it on purpose. Get out of my way. Freaking loud, too.
Still here.
I can do all this through him who gives me strength. If Bible verses were movie characters, this one would be Rocky. Triumphantly reaching the top of the steps, arms raised, fist pumping. This verse has been plastered on everything: t-shirts, mugs, posters, football players' faces, everything. But is it really telling us that with enough faith, anything we want or need is possible? Will the Lord really give us superhuman strength to accomplish any feat? No. As Ben Witherington puts it on Pathos, the problem is that this translation absolutely makes no sense of the context and is not a literal rendering of the verse in question at all. The verb to do is nowhere to be found in this Greek verse. The verb ishua means to be able, strong, healthy, valid, powerful. That's the only verb in this phrase. You have to fill in the helping verb. And the context absolutely doesn't favor the translation. To do, as in I am able to do all things, not at all. What Paul is saying is that no matter what his circumstances, God has given him the strength or the ability to endure and must be satisfied, even when we must do without, even when we must go hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you were to not live on bread, but bread alone, the word of God is your food, fasting. I mean, you know what, and this makes sense to me too, because there's people all over the world that are starving to death. Like, I mean, it just, we take for granted the fact that we have clean water. We take for granted that we can just go walk over to this thing over here and grab food, or I can walk across the street to this amazing place. Unfortunately, they just went out of business because of the epidemic. Like, there's this food, like we are so blessed, especially in the United States, and it's not so much that way all around the world, and in some places it's worse. And it's like, you know, we use these words or use these verses sometimes without ever thinking about the other people that are suffering in the world. And so I actually like that she brought this up, and it's 555.
I just saw that.
So too many religious people have taken this verse as a motto for pulling themselves up by their bootstraps with Jesus' help. True, guilty. When in actuality, Paul was saying not that God will give us the strength to do anything, that God will give us the strength to do the only thing we need to focus on, and that's following him. Because really, isn't that the only thing that mattered to Paul? And shouldn't it be the only thing that matters to us? Yeah. I mean, if our focus and we're putting him first, that I guess God, our relationship with Jesus, even comes before food.
Yeah.
Hence why we bless our food.
Right. And he'll provide when you live the right way.
Yes.
What you need.
Okay. So TV audience, we're part of we're on a live schedule. So on the E360 network, really, again, really happy for Aaron. I don't know what's going to happen, those of you watching on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. So we're just going to test this, and I'm going to let it run to finish this. If it cuts off, hey, I'm sorry. I love you. Happy weekend. And I'll test it after this. But I do appreciate you being here. We're going to continue on. So if you're watching on social media right now, hang tight. We're going to keep going. TV feed may cut out. Anyway, so John 8:10 through 11. Straightening up. Jesus said to her, "Woman, where are they? Did one condemn you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "I do not condemn you either. Go. From now on, sin no more." This is one of the most famous stories of the Bible. Of all time, Jesus saved a woman caught in adultery from being stoned to death by her accusers. Ironically, many religious people today focus not on Jesus' declaration that he, without sin, should be the first to cast the stone, but on Jesus' last words to the woman, "Go and sin no more." They see the moral of this verse not as one cautioning against self-righteous judgment, but that Jesus wants us to sin no more. Aside from the glaring misinterpretation, another common mistake is made with this verse. That is the confusing of it with the story of the woman at the well told earlier in John 4. I had many religious people tell me while discussing homosexuality in the church that people caught in sexual sin are loved by Jesus, but he still told them to go and sin no more, just like the woman caught in the sexual sin at the well. The problem with that, of course, is that Jesus never said to the woman at the well in John 4. He simply shared the gospel of eternal life with her and treated her as a human being should be treated, with respect and not judgment. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No.
What should lead us is our faithfulness. Yes, faithfulness, and in faithfulness, another word I like to use for faithfulness is obedience. God gives me strength too. I agree with that. Julie, I really do love your input on the show, by the way. Matthew 22:36 through 40. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord with all your heart and with all your soul and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Appropriately, I saved the most important misunderstood verse for last. What more religious people need to understand is this, that the greatest commandment is first to love the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind, and the second is like it, to love their neighbors. They're poor, gay, immigrant, female, male, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist. You got any more?
All of them.
Hindu.
All of them. There you go.
All of them. You got to love all of them. So quit being a judgmental prick. Every other law and commandment found above in the Bible depends on this. If more religious people ask themselves before voting, preaching, and commenting on Facebook, am I loving my neighbor as myself by doing this, the world would truly be a better place.
But see, I don't understand how it's misunderstood, because when I heard it, that's exactly how it sounds to me. Is you love everyone like you love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter who they are.
I mean, to me, this is one of the most clear verses there are. I don't know how anyone can ever.
They just twist it.
But again, if the whole. So religion reminds me of emotional intelligence. Because like if you ever go to an emotional intelligence or like Landmark Forum or ALA, Ascension Leadership Academy, any of these things they're teaching EQ, one of the things that they do is they have you, as part of the program when you stay in it, is that you have to enroll other people into the program. It's culty as F. It is. But it's also the most profound work I've done. Like, it helped me get closer to God. It did. It really, really did. But I also didn't buy into the crap. I'm always like, if I'm recruiting anybody.
Is that why you invited me to go with you?
Oh, I think it's amazing.
The recruitment thing?
No, it wasn't recruiting. I just think it's powerful work. And anyone who does the work together gets closer. It's special. But you have to constantly tell yourself, like, it's a wrestling match of
you have to use your own discretion.
Yeah, you have to use your own discretion. And like, I'm only enrolling people into Jesus. Like, this is not my religion. This is not saving me. It was Jesus that saved me. But this work is powerful. Like, it is truly, truly powerful. Why am I talking about this? But, it reminds me of religion. Because a lot of religion is recruiting people. You want them to become members. You want to get them hooked up and signed up, or they're paying and they're